Okay, we're back, and I have added to the location header file declarations of a save method and a load method. So again, they're both void methods, and the save method takes in an output file stream object by reference, and the load file takes in a single parameter of type input file stream object. And I've made this method const based on what I've read and all that sort of stuff. And plus, when you're saving it, you're not changing the game at that point. But when you're loading it, you are. So it's not going to be constant. And I've appropriately implemented them with lots of Doxygen style comments. More or less for my own. I'll probably take them out before I submit it, but these are for me. So the save method, as the Doxygen style comments states, it saves the location object to a file stream at param OFS the output file stream to write. So again, the parameter OFS just stands for output file stream. Convention to name it that, and the output file stream to write to. So again, because this is in the implementation file, you have to preface the save method with the name of the class, i.e. location, and the scope resolution operator, the double colon. But the save method takes in a single parameter output file stream object. It's constant. Basically, it just checks if I was actually able to open and create a file named whatever the file name that got put out here. If I was actually able to create that file, good. But if I'm not, so if not OFS, meaning if it didn't open, then I'm going to return. So basically, this just ensures the file stream is valid. And then I'm going to save the name of the location. So I'm going to use the getName method associated with the location class to get the name of this location, stored in a string. Then I'm going to get the size of the name, so calling the size method associated with strings, to get the name length of the string, and stored in a size t just for cross compatibility and all that proper stuff. I could just stored that in an int or a short or something. But this is better practice. And then I'm going to write the length of the name first. The first thing I'm going to write is the length of the name so that we know how many bytes to read later. So I'm actually writing the length of the string, but not the string yet. So ofs.write, I'm going to call the reinterpret cast function that takes in reinterpret cast of type constant char pointer, and it takes in the address, again, the reference of the name length. And then as the second parameter, you pass in the size of name length. So that's just writing the length of the string to the file first. And then I'm going to write the actual name characters. So fs.write, that takes in name.cstring. So I'm converting the string, std string, into a C-style string, which can be written directly without a cast interpretation, because a C-style string is a C pointer. They work the same, right? Which is what this expects, a constant char pointer. I meant char pointer, not C pointer. But yeah, so I don't need to reinterpret the cast. I can just convert the string into the string into a C-style string and write it directly. Again, passing in the name length. This is how many characters it is. So I write that. So again, this number is for when I read out of the file. This number, or this is just actually writing the actual name to the file. So that's all. This is to write the name of the location. I got the name using the get file, and then I wrote it. Now I'm going to save the description of location. I'm going to do the exact same thing. So that's exactly the same code or same process in which I use get description method instead of get name. I use get description to return the description to a std string, and then I do just one second. Hello, bud? I don't think we did, because I think it came down to it wasn't a lifetime membership and you didn't seem like you were going to use it. If we did, it'd be under your Google account or perhaps your UAlberta account. Because otherwise, yeah, I don't think so. No, we can look it up after, but if not, I don't think we end up pulling the trigger on that. But yeah. That's fine. But I'll talk to you after. Okay. I was just doing a video. Love it. Okay. So, where was I? So basically, where was I? Okay. So first I wrote the name to the file, and then I get the description and write that to the file. So get description. Write that to the I write that to a string. So I get the description and store that in a string, and then I use again declare and initialize the size t variable of the description length by going description.size, calling the size method on the string, which will give me the length of the description, and then I write that to the file again, so that when I read it, I know how many characters to read. So this is writing the description length to the file using the reinterpret cast, because again, you have to do the reinterpret cast on that. It's not a primitive type. And then we're going to actually write the description, so the actual string description. But we're converting the string, which description is a string, a stood string, we're converting it to a C-style string, and that way it can be directly written to the file, because you can just write directly to. And I have to pass in the description length. So I want to write this many characters, whatever the description length is, to the file. Now I can write the 4 primitive types, save the 4 description values, north, east, south, west. Because they're primitive types, these are ints. I don't have to. I don't have to do anything weird with them. I can just directly throw them in here, and they'll write properly and size up. So this was shown before when in the main file when I moved the score and the height of Alice up, and the error still only happened on get location. So because these are ints, they'll be fine. I don't have to create any sort of save function in int class, right? Because I'm not in charge of integers. So that's that. So yeah, I write that, and then I like GameObjects takes care of itself. So I go get GameObjects.save, again passing the open file stream, because just like I created a save and load file in location, I'll do it for all of the classes. So I'm now just relying on the save file associated with get GameObjects, which with the GameObject list, which is what get GameObjects method does. So if I look at where's my get GameObjects method, GameObject list. Oh, I inherit it because yes, location is. I'm just going to go to location.h file. So location extends from GameObject container, and GameObject container contains game objects. So I have to write the save and load methods for all of these different things. The load method is essentially the exact same. Again, I just verify that the file exists before trying to load from it, and then I load the name of the location. So first I need to create the name length, read in the name length. So I'm using the read method when I'm loading. I was using the write method when I was writing to the file, saving to the file. Now I use the read method to load from the file. And I'm reading in the name length. So I'm reading in the name length, and that lets me know how many characters I need to read in. So I create a string, stood string, name, and I use the constructor. This is a constructor associated with the string class where you can pass in a length, a count, in this case name length, which is how many characters I want to read in. And then a character, I'm just setting all the characters in the string to the null character, essentially. Creating a string of the correct size. And I'm making it the exact size, because when I create a string, that'll take care of the null character automatically for me at the end. So I just need to create a string of the exact same size that I want to read in the characters. So then I just read that in. ifs stream, which is the input file stream that got passed in by reference. ifstream.read, I want to read into the first location, because again, I'm treating the string name like a char array, like it is. So I'm reading in the reference of the char name sub 0. So I'm reading into the first location in the C style string of name. So the first letter. and I'm going to read for name length. So I'm going to read starting here. I'm going to throw into the first location in this char array, which under the hood, a string is still just a char array. It's just taking care of it for us. I'm going to read into the first char array location for how many bytes? Well, for name length. So that basically just reads in the name. I read the actual name in. And then I'm going to call the set name method associated with the location class. I'm going to set the name to name. So now I'm setting the location's name. And then load the description. I'm going to do the same thing for the description. It's like identical to the name. You know, create a length, read in what the length is going to be, create a string using the parameterized constructor that takes in the length that I want to create for my string. And I'm just loading the string with null character. That's not really necessary, but and then I'm reading in to the first, element within the string, which is really a char array, and I'm going to read for this length. And then, and then I'm going to set the description to calling the set description method associated with location to the description that I read in. And then I'm reading in the north, east, southwest. Again, there's no special stuff here because they're just ints. And then I'm relying on the load method associated with game objects, the same way to load my game objects. And that's pretty much it. So if I save that, that's my implementation. I've got my declaration here. I'll reorder these later, but I've got my declaration here. So, yeah, let's give that a whirl. So still got the exact same errors, still on. Oh, you know what I didn't do? You know what? I need to include pound include fstream. Oh, it's header file. I need to include the fstream because I need to include the fstream because obviously I'm dealing with output file streams and input file streams. So there you go. So now let's try that. Because this actually just gave me a bunch more errors. So I got a lot of errors, and I assume those all have to do... Jeez. So look, one little thing, I tried to fix a problem, and I got a lot more stuff. But I assume this has to do with, without looking at them too much, I assume that has to do with the fact I didn't have file stream on there. Let's hope. No, and it's still there. So I was doing this in real time because, obviously this video is for me, and I just want to be able to see when I make a mistake or not. So why is that not fixing? Oh, I didn't actually create this yet. You know what? Without even looking at these, I know I didn't actually implement this yet. So as I said, I'm going to rely on get game objects load and save method that I'm going to create, but I know I didn't create it yet. Still got the errors, so let's take a look and see what I've done or not did. What is it saying? ToString was not declared in this scope. Stood string, describe location, return ToString, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so location, describe location, and member function. No declaration matches ToString that returns a string. But I did have a ToString method. So I have a ToString method. Returns get name plus get description. Returns a string. Describe game objects. I'll have to look at that. ToString was not declared in this scope. Blah 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 blah. Get name. So I'm calling game. I'm trying to rely on different methods. I'm gonna have to look at the methods. Get the name. Passing const location as this argument disqualifies. Okay. So this might come down to me passing const chars and stuff again when I write. That shouldn't matter though. Passing const location as this argument disqualifies the. That's just. I'm gonna have to look at the constness of this friggin' program again. Save const. So it seems like void save const. You know what? I don't know if I need this function at const. I don't need to say it. Let's just. I'm gonna take away the const. This is kind of just fast and furious. Not really, but I don't really need to say that this is const. It's just really extra. Let's see if that clears anything up. Probably won't, but it's funny. I didn't solve these issues, and I've created a lot more. But again, I need to go into all the other classes and create save and load functions, and then hopefully not have too many issues. So I've got. Okay, so what is this actually saying? Location.cpp in member function, location describe location. We have an error. 35. ToString was not declared in this scope. Describe location. Error. ToString was not declared in this scope. So location describe location returns a string. It returns ToString plus items in location. So I need to go to describe location function, which I have. Return, it says return ToString. Oh, you know what? It's probably because I had the ToString method below, and again, order matters in C++, and I don't have any function parameters. Perhaps that's what I'll do in the future is get all these and put function parameters in the code. But because ToString was below, I wonder if that's an issue. So we'll see if this error goes away, which was 35. Let's try that. So again, I'm trying to see if this error 35 goes away. Because again, I was trying to call ToString, but ToString was below describe location, so it wasn't, defined yet. So hopefully this makes a difference. Long time to decide. Obviously, we still get errors, so 35. Okay. What was the exact error here? On 35, error. So we still seem to have it. No declaration matches location ToString. I have a ToString method here, returns a string, return get name plus get description. Oh, I don't have a ToString method here. Jeez. So I don't seem to even have a ToString method here. ToString. Let's try that. Okay. This is just a mess. Okay. So this one saying no declaration matches the ToString method because I didn't declare it. So now let's see if we can get rid of that 35 error. Because at least it was different. Here it said in member function ToString was not declared in this scope. Oh, wait, well, it was not declared in this scope. But that is different than this method, I believe, which says no declaration matches. So I called it again, and we'll see what errors we get this time. In the meantime, let's look. Class location defined here. In members, describe location. ToString was not declared. I think a lot of them have to do with the ToString. Seems like all of them. Okay, so this time it worked. I'm just going to confirm that because I wasn't paying attention fully. But If we confirm it, we still get those two errors. We have an error taking the address of an R value. Game.getPlayer.getLocation. Okay, so we got rid of our two-string issues. So now we still have the whole issue, game location, error, invalid cast from type. So error, invalid cast from type game object list to type so in this thing, in function void save game in our AliceInWonderland.cpp class, right here, get location, we're having an issue with the fact that game.getPlayer.getLocation, which returns the location, and then we're trying to reference that, taking the address of an R value, so this is an R value here. We're trying to take the address of it, which doesn't have an address because I wonder if I even need that, to be honest. Let me just invalid cast from type location to type care pointer. So you do need to still get the address. I knew that. But I'm curious. No match for operator. Oh, shoot. Okay. I was trying to dereference it to see if it would work dereferencing the R value, but I mean, same thing. It's an R value, so this is me just not even like really thinking too much and just trying to wildly do something because I'm kind of done with this. Expected identifier. Okay, what do we get here? Error. Expected identifier before the open parens token of that. Expected identifier before that. Expected that before token, blah, blah. I'm just causing a mess. So at this point, I need to fix this situation. Taking address of our value. I need to figure out this situation. So you know what? I'll come back. So I didn't actually, I've went now for almost 25 minutes and haven't solved any issues. I'm just back to the start. But at least I do have a save game and load game method written. It's just not working at this point. I mean, I haven't changed this. But you know what? We'll see if we can figure this out. I'll be back.